hard times now in Zimbabwe in southern Africa. The economy there is just a wreck. It's got the world's highest inflation. Food is scarce, meat especially.
President Mugabe blames the crisis on Western sanctions and rejects criticism that mismanagement has caused the economic meltdown.
Every day, life is a struggle here in Zimbabwe.
But it's the children that are bearing the brunt.
In 1980, when Zimbabwe became an official country, the economy was very stable. It inherited from the United Kingdom an economy that was rich in natural resources, had a flourishing tourist industry, and a very, very strong agricultural business that was run by a lot of the white farmers that had remained.
Some years ago I was in Zambia visiting, doing some work there, and happened to stay in a hotel where there was a gentleman who was a pilot. He flew for DHL Freight, and his responsibility was to fly between the capital of Zambia and the capital of Zimbabwe, sometimes twice a day.
The Africa I remember when I was young is how everyone you saw on the street was like family. You greeted them as family. If you saw an adult, you just came up to them and say, "How are you?" like Salibonani in my language, and just be nice to them.
Zimbabwe, which used to have a surplus of food, it used to be, there used to be so much food that they would export food. That food was grown on big farms, many of them irrigated by fairly elaborate irrigation systems. He told me that as he flies over the country, those farms are bare, there is nothing.
In the office of Minister of the Government, so help me God.
When Robert Mugabe became president, he took his regime, started economic trends that led to a spiral downhill that culminated in the Land Reform Acts of 2000.
A place where they used to grow 2 and sometimes 3 crops a year is bare ground. And tragically, a lot of the irrigation systems that took sometimes years to build have been scrapped. People in desperation have taken the metal and sold it as scrap in order to get even a few coins or a few dollars to be able to feed themselves.
Now things are different. You see young kids stealing from older people, old people, and that's their living. That's how they make their living now.
Currently, the health situation has declined drastically due to the collapse of the healthcare system. For women, you can expect to live about 34 years, and for men, it's about 37.
The children in Zimbabwe are orphans mostly because they have lost their parents to AIDS.
According to UNICEF, Zimbabwe has the highest percentage of orphans in proportion to its population than any other country.
Pauline is from Oregon, and after several years working for the Africa Division, she came home and she couldn't stop remembering the need of the children in Zimbabwe, so she returned and started an orphanage to help the children who are suffering the most.
2 weeks after I arrived in Zimbabwe, I had the opportunity to go out with the treasurer and the president of the division into the rural area, basically in this area, and I saw the needs, and I was impressed then that something needed to be done. And even then there was the beginning to be AIDS, and I knew that would inevitably get worse and there would be needs for lots of orphanages.
Currently there are about 1.3 million orphans in Zimbabwe due to the AIDS epidemic. This puts a great strain on the many orphanages in the country, especially since most of them are privately funded, such as Paula's orphanage. It puts a strain on the resources that they have because there's such a great number of orphans, and it puts a strain on the amount of food that they can receive and obtain and the care that they will receive with the limited number of workers and volunteers.
I hope people realize that people are dying of hunger, AIDS, even they're dying from political oppression by the government. Just pass it around, tell it to everyone you see what's going on. Maybe there'll be change. Maybe you can make a change. One person can make a change.
I do hope that all of us join together and manage to do something for the children of Zimbabwe. It's a great project.
yeah.